If I had $100 to spend, these would be my top budget studio monitor choices. PreSonus Iris E3.5. This is the monitor that genuinely surprised me with how honest it sounds for the price. In my experience, most speakers under $100 try to impress you with hyped bass, but the Iris E3.5 gives you a surprisingly flat and clean sound, especially in the mids and highs. When I was editing dialogue for a video project, the vocal clarity was exceptional, letting me hear details I'd miss on typical computer speakers. It's not perfect, the bass starts to roll off at 80 Hz, so you won't feel that deep sub-bass rumble in electronic music, and they can lose some clarity if you push the volume too high. But the fact that they include high and low frequency tuning knobs is a game changer at this price, allowing you to adjust the sound to your room a bit. For anyone just starting in music production, podcasting, or video editing on a tight budget, these are the perfect first step into accurate monitoring. Mackie CR3X. The Mackie CR3X is all about that immediate energetic sound right out of the box. The first time I fired these up, I noticed what we call a V-shaped sound profile. The bass and the treble are definitely pushed forward, which makes listening to music or gaming feel more lively and fun. They have a really recognizable look and feel solid, but that sound signature is a double-edged sword. While it's enjoyable for casual listening, that recessed mid-range means they aren't very accurate for mixing. I found myself guessing where vocals and instrument sound should sit in a mix because the speakers were coloring the sound. Unlike the Iris, you don't get any knobs to tone down the aggressive treble or bass. Honestly, these are a fantastic upgrade over built-in laptop speakers for media consumption or gaming, but I wouldn't trust them for any critical audio work. If I had to spend my own $100, I would buy the PreSonus Iris E3.5 every time because its more neutral sound and tuning controls provide a much more honest reference for actually creating content. If I only had $150 to spend, these are the budget studio monitors I'd buy. Mackie CR8BT. This one completely redefines what you can get at this price. The 8-inch woofer is a game changer. In my experience, the Mackie CR8BT delivers a much bigger and more engaging sound than you'd expect for a budget monitor. The build quality surprised me. It feels solid and robust, not cheap and plasticky. The sound has a warm and vibrant mid-range that makes vocals and instruments pop, which is great for casual listening or even voice-over work. However, I did notice they aren't perfectly neutral. They add a bit of their own character, so I wouldn't use them for critical final mixing. The tone dial on the front is a fantastic touch, letting you quickly add some low-end punch for musical or dial it back for a flatter response when editing. The Bluetooth connectivity is also super convenient for just streaming music from my phone. My only real gripe is the rear-facing baseboard, which means you can just shove them against the wall without the bass getting a bit boomy. These are perfect for someone stepping up from basic computer speakers who wants a versatile, powerful sound for multimedia work, gaming, and casual music enjoyment, but not for a professional producer needing strict accuracy. Edifier MR3. The Edifier MR3 is all about delivering an honest, no-nonsense sound without breaking the bank. When I tested them, that stood out was their clean and balanced presentation. They don't try to impress you with over-the-top effects or boomy bass. They are quite compact, and setting them up is incredibly straightforward. I was impressed to see professional TRS balanced inputs on a speaker this affordable, which is a huge plus for connecting to audio interfaces. However, I have to be honest, they're not very loud and the low end is definitely lagging, so they're best suited for a desktop near-field setup rather than trying to fill a room with sound. While they do have an app, I found myself using the physical EQ controls on the back because the app's volume slider felt a bit sluggish. The build is what you'd expect for the price. It's fine, but it doesn't feel premium. The MR3 is the ideal choice for a hobbyist musician or a beginner producer on a tight budget who needs a simple, reliable monitor that provides a surprisingly honest and flat sound for practice and initial mixes. If I had to spend my own $150, I would buy the Mackie CR8BT because its sheer size, power, and versatility with Bluetooth and tone control make it a more fun and useful all-around speaker for my desk, even if it's not the most surgically precise. If I only had $200 to spend, these are the budget studio monitors I'd buy. KRK Rocket 7 G4. This monitor completely surprised me and shattered my old perceptions of the KRK sound. In my experience, the G4 series is a massive leap forward. It's not just about that signature yellow cone and heavy bass anymore. The first thing I noticed was the punch and clarity in the low end, which is powerful without tuning my mix into mud. A problem I've had with older models. The real game changer for me is the onboard DSP and EQ screen on the back. In my less than perfect bedroom studio, being able to cut some low mids to compensate for room modes was incredibly useful and something you just don't find at this price. I can place them close to the wall without much worry thanks to the front-facing port, a huge plus for small spaces. They also get unreasonably loud without distorting, which is great for checking a mix at high volume or just having fun while producing. For producers just starting out, especially those making electronic or hip-hop music, these are a fantastic choice because they are both a reliable tool and genuinely fun to listen to. Yamaha HS5. The Yamaha HS5 is like that brutally honest friend who will tell you your mix sounds terrible, and that's exactly why you need it. The first time I played one of my own tracks through these, I heard every little flaw with painful clarity. The transient response is incredibly fast, making it easy to dial in compressors and hear subtle timing issues. However, let's be direct, the bass is almost non-existent. I was working on a track with a deep 808, and it simply vanished, so you absolutely have to plan on getting a subwoofer to pair with these if you work on bass-heavy music. I also found the upper mid-range has a forward, almost nasal quality that can be fatiguing during long sessions, especially if you push the volume. They are not speakers I'd use for casual listening, but if your primary goal is to create mixes that translate well everywhere else, the HS5 forces you to work for it. These are for the serious budget-conscious mixing engineer who needs a precise analytical tool above all else. If I could only buy one, I would choose the KRK Rocket 7G4 because its built-in EQ makes it far more adaptable to imperfect rooms, and its more balanced sound is better for both producing and mixing right out of the box. If my budget was $250, these are the budget studio monitors I'd go for. ATEM Audio P5V. This monitor is all about that top-end detail. It brings a sense of clarity that honestly surprised me for the price. In my experience, the UART ribbon tweeter makes things like hi-hats and vocal reverb tails just pop in a way that other budget monitors don't. I found that while mixing, I could pick out subtle high-frequency issues with these. For a 5-inch speaker, the bass also has a surprising amount of punch and you can really feel the low notes. However, after a few hours, that bright forward sound can get a little fatiguing on the ears. The sound isn't perfectly flat, it definitely has a character, but it's an exciting one. This is the perfect monitor for the bedroom producer or DJ who wants their music to sound lively and detailed right out of the box. Kali Audio LP6V2. The Kali LP6V2 is the monitor you buy when you want the unvarnished truth about your mix. When I first fired these up, I was struck by how incredibly flat and honest they sounded. There's no hype here, which is exactly what you need for serious work. The soundstage is massive and I found I could move around my desk quite a bit without losing the stereo image, which isn't always the case in this price range. Unlike the ATEMs, I can work on these for hours without any ear fatigue. The low end from the larger 6.5-inch woofer is tight and accurate, not boomy, giving you a true representation of your bass. While they might not sound as immediately impressive as monitors that color the sound, that's their biggest strength. For anyone focused on mixing or mastering who needs to know their work will translate well everywhere, this is the one to get. If I had to spend my own $250, I'd buy the Kali LP6V2 because its brutally honest and flat response gives me more confidence that my mixes will sound good on any system. With $350 to work with, I choose these budget studio monitors. Kali Audio LP UNF4. This one honestly feels like a cheat code for anyone setting up a desktop studio on a budget. In my experience, the first thing that hits you is the stereo imaging. The waveguide technology they borrowed from their bigger, more expensive monitors really works, letting you play sound in the mix with a clarity that's rare at this price point. I found them to be brutally honest. They don't flatter your music, they just show you exactly what's there, which is what you want for mixing. The bass response also surprised me for a 4.5-inch woofer. The low end is solid and clean down to a claimed 39 Hz, and because the port is on the front, I could push them right up against the wall without things getting muddy. The only thing is, the same honesty means they are the most fun speakers for just kicking back and listening to music. They're accurate, not warm. For producers, mixers, or content creators who work at a desk and need a reliable reference without dropping a grand, these are the ones to get. IK Multimedia iLoud Micro. The first time you see the iLoud Micros, you'll probably laugh. They look way too small to be serious monitors, but they are absolutely not a joke. What I found most impressive was how they managed to create such a full clear sound from a tiny 3-inch woofer. It's all thanks to some really clever internal DSP that keeps the frequency response impressively flat. They get shockingly loud without distorting, and having Bluetooth is a huge plus for quickly referencing a track from my phone or just using them for casual listening. On the downside, the tiny size does have its limits. The bass can't compete with larger speakers and starts to fall off at high volumes. I also noticed a faint hiss when they're on but not playing audio, though it's manageable. Still, for the traveling producers or anyone with basically zero desk space, these are a game changer and blow away anything else their size. If I had to spend my own $350, I would buy the Kali Audio LP UNF because they offer a more substantial and accurate mixing experience with better low-end translation, making them a more capable primary monitor for a dedicated home studio desk. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope this video helped you pick the best budget studio monitors for you. If you have any questions, drop a comment below. Links to all of these products mentioned in this video will be in the description. Alright, peace out.